All right, so today we're going deep on Mark Zuckerberg. So we'll be talking all about him, the controversies and the lawsuits, and how he went from like just a programmer to, this billionaire philanthropist.
I mean, everyone knows Facebook, but I don't know much about him, really.
Yeah. Well, for example, did you know that he actually built a messaging program when he was only 11?
Get out. No way.
Yeah. It was for his family's house and his dad's dental office.
What?
Yeah, it was called ZuckNet, like a mini Facebook, right?
Wow, that's crazy, so young.
I know, right? And then in high school, he built this music player, Synapse Media Player, it was called.
I think I've heard of that. Didn't PC Magazine give it like 3 out of 5 stars or something?
Yeah, they did. And get this, it used machine learning.
Whoa, really? Like AI?
Yeah, like early AI.
Right.
So basically, it could predict what you wanted to listen to next.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, he was already, like, this programming prodigy.
Clearly.
Yeah, so it's no surprise he ended up at Harvard.
Of course.
With, that reputation, right, as a prodigy.
Right.
And so while he's at Harvard, he creates this website called Course Match.
Course Match.
Yeah, so it was to help students choose classes and connect with study partners.
Oh, interesting.
I know, so, like, almost a prototype for Facebook, right?
Yeah, you can kind of see the early, the roots of Facebook there.
Exactly. Connecting people, early social network. But then, we can't forget about Face Smash.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty controversial, right?
Yeah, that was the whole hot or not thing.
With the student photos.
Yeah, he used student photos without permission, caused a huge uproar.
Yeah, big privacy concerns back then, too.
Yeah, and it overloaded Harvard's network.
Ah, the good old days.
I know, right? But it's interesting because it shows, even then, that willingness to, kind of disregard the rules, right?
To push the boundaries, yeah.
Yeah, push the boundaries, maybe even break them a little bit.
It's a common thread with a lot of these tech innovators.
Yeah, it's like that fine line between, innovation and, causing problems.
Yeah, consequences.
Right, consequences, exactly.
So if Face Smash is shut down, what happens next?
Well, then, of course, comes the Facebook.
The Facebook?
Yeah, in 2004, initially just for Harvard students.
Right.
Launched with his roommates, Eduardo Saverin, Andrew McCollum, Dustin Moskovitz, and Chris Hughes.
OG crew.
The OG crew. I know, it's crazy to think it started as like this little Harvard thing.
And now it's like connecting billions around the world. It's mind-blowing.
I mean, it really tapped into that need for, connection,
Yeah, that human desire to be part of something, to share, to connect. And the way it just took off at Harvard, it was like almost a mini version of what it became globally.
It's like a case study in how a simple idea done well can really change the world. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. A simple idea executed well, but of course it wasn't all smooth sailing.
Oh no, definitely not.
Enter the Winklevoss twins and Divya Naringer.
Oh yeah, the lawsuit.
Yeah, they claimed Zuckerberg basically stole their idea for this website, harvardconnection.com.
It was a whole big mess.
It was a whole big, public, messy lawsuit.
Billions of dollars, right?
Yeah, eventually, Facebook settled for 1.2 million shares and $20 million in cash.
Wow.
It's like a classic tale, right? You have this world of startups, ideas flying around, who really owns what, and then, of course, the execution, that's key.
Yeah, it's not enough to just have the idea, you got to make it happen.
Exactly, you got to make it happen. And Zuckerberg, he made it happen.
He did.
So Zuckerberg drops out of Harvard to focus on Facebook full-time.
Makes sense.
Moves operations to Palo Alto with Moskovitz and the other co-founders.
The Silicon Valley base.
Silicon Valley, yeah, the heart of it all.
So they're building this empire. But even back then, it seemed like it was more than just about the money,
Yeah, he famously turned down offers from major companies to buy Facebook.
Really?
Yeah, saying he wanted to prioritize an open information flow over just, profits.
Interesting, because obviously that open flow of information eventually led to, massive profits.
Yeah, it's like this weird mix of idealism and, capitalism.
Yeah, especially in the tech world, it's a constant tension.
A constant tension, that's a good way to put it.
So by 2010, Facebook hits 500 million users.
500 million.
It's insane.
It's crazy. It's hard to even fathom the scale of impact at that point.
And they did it mostly organically too, right? No huge ad campaigns or anything.
Yeah, no big marketing push. It was word of mouth, people inviting their friends.
It really shows how much it tapped into that need for connection.
Yeah, it was meeting a real need. And Zuckerberg himself, he he really embraced this term hacker, you know?
Hacker.
Yeah, this idea of move fast and break things.
Right.
Like, it's okay to break things if it means making them better in the end.
Yeah, that's a pretty bold philosophy.
It is, and it became part of their whole company culture, these famous hackathons.
Oh yeah, I've heard about those, like all-night coding sessions, right?
Yeah, basically, where they encourage people to come up with new ideas, new solutions, work quickly. Don't be afraid to experiment,
It's a double-edged sword, I guess, that whole hacker philosophy.
In what way?
Well, on the one hand, you have all this innovation, creativity, risk-taking, which obviously led to, Facebook's success.
Right.
But on the other hand, it can also lead to like a disregard for rules, for norms, for potential consequences.
Yeah, like maybe not thinking through all the possible downsides before, launching something.
Exactly, and that becomes like really important later on when we see all the privacy issues, the controversies that come up.
Right, it's like that unintended consequences thing again.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so, Zuckerberg, he's obviously known for Facebook, but he's also been involved in other projects like Internet.org.
Internet.org?
Yeah, it launched in 2013, and the goal was to provide internet access to people who didn't have it.
Okay, that sounds like a good pun.
It was a noble goal. I mean, bridging the digital divide, right? But it also faced a lot of criticism.
Really? Why?
Well, people argued that it was creating this tiered internet.
Tiered internet.
Yeah, like different levels of access where some users get faster speeds or access to certain websites while others are restricted.
Oh, I see.
And it also got caught up in the whole net neutrality debate.
Net neutrality, right? The principle that all internet traffic should be treated equally.
Exactly. And critics were saying that Internet.org was violating that principle by giving preferential treatment to Facebook and its partners.
So even with good intentions, it's tricky, right?
It is. It's really tricky. And it shows how, like, even when you're trying to do something good, there can be these unintended consequences.
Yeah, especially when you're dealing with something as complex as, like, global internet access.
Okay, now ready for something completely different.
Sure, bring it on.
Breakthrough Starshot.
Breakthrough what?
Starshot, it's a project Zuckerberg co-founded in 2016 with Yuri Milner and Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking?
Yeah. The goal is to develop solar sail spacecraft for interstellar travel.
Wait, interstellar travel, like to other star systems?
To other star systems, yeah. Pretty ambitious, right?
That's insane.
It is. It's like, it shows that part of him that's always pushing the limits, always looking for the next big challenge.
But even with all the Facebook stuff, he's still thinking about, like, the future of humanity, space exploration. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's a reminder that, people are complex. They have different sides to them.
Absolutely.
But let's be real. We can't talk about Zuckerberg without talking about, the legal battles, the controversies.
Oh yeah, there's been plenty of those.
We already mentioned the Winklevoss twins, but there have been others.
Like Eduardo Saverin, the co-founder.
Yeah, Saverin sued, claiming he was unfairly diluted out of his share of the company.
And then there was Paul Seglia.
Oh yeah, Seglia, the guy who claimed he owned 84% of Facebook based on, like, a fake contract.
It was wild.
Wild. It was eventually dismissed as frivolous. Seglia was even arrested for fraud.
Yeah, you remember that?
I mean, it's kind of a testament to Facebook's success, right? Like, all these lawsuits, all this scrutiny.
It comes with the territory, I guess.
Yeah.
When you're building a billion-dollar empire.
Yeah, a billion-dollar empire. And then, of course, you have the whole land dispute in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah, that was not a good look.
Not a good look at all. So, in 2014, he buys 700 acres of land in Kauai.
Okay.
But then he files these lawsuits against native Hawaiians to claim these small pieces of land within his property.
Oh, wow, that's not good.
It wasn't good. It caused a huge backlash, accusations of disrespect for Hawaiian culture, their traditions of land ownership.
Yeah, it was a major PR disaster.
Yeah, he eventually dropped the lawsuits, admitted he made a mistake, but the damage was done.
It's like a reminder that, money and power, they don't excuse you from cultural sensitivity.
Exactly. Cultural sensitivity, understanding the context, the history.
Right.
And then, of course, we have the congressional testimony in 2018.
Ah, yes, the Cambridge Analytica scandal.
The Cambridge Analytica data scandal, yeah, where Facebook user data was used for political advertising without their consent.
It was a huge deal. People were outraged.
People were outraged, and rightfully so. I mean, it raised all these questions about data privacy, security, the influence of social media on elections.
Yeah, it was a major turning point, I think, for Facebook and really for the whole tech industry.
It was like this wake-up call, like, hey, this data we collect, it's powerful, it can be used for good or bad.
And it made people really question, what Facebook was doing with their data, how much control they had.
Exactly, and the scrutiny hasn't stopped there.
Oh, definitely not.
Just recently, there were these court documents that came out alleging that Zuckerberg personally rejected proposals within Meta to, improve teenagers' mental health on their platform.
Really? Like he was actively blocking efforts to make things better?
Yeah, and reportedly, he even overrode senior executives who were pushing for those changes.
That's concerning.
It is, it's concerning, and it raises all these questions about corporate responsibility, right?
Yeah, like who's really calling the shots? And what are their priorities?
Right, is it profit over people? It's a debate that's still going on.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but it's an important one.
It is, it's important, and it's part of this larger conversation we're having about the role of technology in our lives, the power of these big tech companies.
Right, and the impact they have on society.
Exactly, the impact on society, on individuals, on democracy, on, everything, really.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is, it's a lot to unpack, and we're only just getting started.
Well, I'm definitely intrigued.
I'm glad to hear it, because we've got a lot more to explore.
Bring it on.
So stay tuned as we continue our deep dive into the world of Mark Zuckerberg.
I'm ready.
We'll delve into his philanthropy, his political views, his personal life, all of it.
Sounds fascinating.
It is. It's a complex, fascinating story, and we're going to try to make sense of it all.
Let's do it.
All right, buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride.
I'm buckled.
Okay, so last time we let it off talking about all the lawsuits and stuff.
Yeah, some pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah, but now let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk about some of the things Zuckerberg's into, outside of the whole tech world.
Like hobbies and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, did you know he's really into martial arts?
Really? No way. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah, like back in 2022, he started training in MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Wow, interesting. I wouldn't have pictured that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to think of him like, in a gi or whatever.
Yeah, but I guess when you think about it, both coding and martial arts require a lot of discipline, focus.
True. Yeah, it's all about mastering complex systems.
Right, and strategy.
Strategy too, yeah.
So is he actually any good at it?
He's not just messing around, no.
Cool.
He competed in a BJJ tournament in 2023.
Oh, wow.
And get this, he won a silver and a gold medal.
No way. Seriously?
Seriously, he even earned his blue belt.
Huh. That's impressive.
It is. It shows a different side of him, right?
Definitely this competitive side.
Yeah, and physicality, pushing himself outside of his comfort zone.
It makes you wonder if that, translates to his business dealings too,
Yeah, maybe that competitive drive, the need to, strategize, overcome challenges.
Interesting.
Okay, moving on to something a little less, physical.
Okay.
Zuckerberg, he's also a big reader.
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, back in 2015, he started his own book club.
A book club?
Yeah, he called it Year of Books. The goal was to read a new book every 2 weeks.
Wow, that's a lot of reading.
It is. He encouraged others to join him, this big online community.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it got huge. Over 800,000 members on Facebook. I know, it shows that he's, intellectually curious, wants to learn about different things, not just tech.
What kind of books was he reading?
All sorts of stuff. Science, history, sociology, fiction.
Interesting. So it wasn't just business books or tech stuff.
No, it was a really diverse range of topics. He even read The Muqaddimah by Ibn Khaldun. It's this 14th century historical and sociological work considered a classic.
Wow, okay, I need to step up my reading game.
I know, right? It's inspiring. It shows that he's, trying to broaden his horizons, engage with different ideas.
Absolutely.
Okay, ready for some more random Zuckerberg facts?
Hit me.
He's a vegetarian.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, since 2011, he's even said he'll only eat meat if he killed the animal himself.
Wow, okay, that's a statement.
It is. It shows he's really thought about his food choices, where his food comes from.
Interesting.
Another one, he's red-green colorblind.
Really? That's fascinating.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if that influenced Facebook's color scheme. All that blue.
That's true. Blue is the main color.
Yeah, he's even said that blue is the richest color for him.
Huh. That's a cool connection.
I know, right? It's like these little personal details can actually have an impact on the things we create.
It's true, you never know.
And speaking of personal details, Zuckerberg, he tries to learn a new skill every year.
Every year.
Every year, yeah. In 2010, he learned Mandarin Chinese.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
It is. He even gave a speech in Mandarin at a university in Beijing in 2014.
That's amazing. I could barely speak English properly.
I know, right? It shows his commitment to learning, to pushing himself.
Definitely.
His other skills have included like cooking, woodworking, all sorts of things.
He's a man of many talents.
It seems like he's always trying to improve himself, expand his knowledge.
That's admirable.
Okay, now let's talk about something a bit more personal,
Oh, yeah.
Zuckerberg's religious views.
I'm curious about that. He's been kind of all over the place, right?
Yeah, so he was raised in a Jewish household, but later said he was an atheist. But then, in 2016, he said that he believes religion is very important.
Really? What changed?
It seems like becoming a father, thinking about bigger questions, life, purpose, all that.
Yeah, it can definitely shift your perspective.
He's even talked about how his Jewish upbringing instilled in him this sense of justice, standing up for what's right.
Interesting.
It's like even in the world of tech, where it's all about logic and innovation, spirituality still plays a role.
Yeah, it shows that, even someone like Zuckerberg, he's still searching, still evolving.
Exactly. He's a complex guy.
That's for sure.
So we've seen the competitive side, the intellectual side, the personal side, all these different facets of Zuckerberg.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. And now in the final part of our deep dive, we're going to explore how all of this comes together, the good, the bad, and what it all means for his legacy.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, so we're back and ready to wrap up our Zuckerberg deep dive.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride so far.
It has been. We've covered a lot of ground.
From coding prodigy to billionaire philanthropist.
To martial arts enthusiast, bookworm, vegetarian.
Oh, and don't forget colorblind.
Oh, yeah, the colorblind thing. It's all connected, right?
In some way, yeah, it all makes up who he is.
Exactly, and that's what we're trying to understand, right? Like, who is Mark Zuckerberg?
At the core of it all.
Right, but also, what's next for him?
Yeah, what's the next chapter?
And ultimately, what will his legacy be?
The big question. The impact he leaves on the world.
Right, because, let's face it, things are kind of, how do I put this? A little shaky right now.
For Meta, you mean?
Yeah, for Meta, for Facebook, for Zuckerberg himself.
Yeah, there's a lot of scrutiny, a lot of pressure.
From regulators, from the public, everyone's concerned about privacy, misinformation, the whole shebang.
We've seen the antitrust lawsuits, the calls for more regulation, the whole Cambridge Analytica thing still looms large.
Yeah, that was a major turning point.
Definitely. It really eroded people's trust in Facebook and Zuckerberg.
And he knows it. He's been trying to address these issues, right?
Yeah, he's testified before Congress. He's talked about the need for regulation, transparency, all that.
He's poured money into content moderation, fact-checking, all these efforts to, clean things up.
But some people say it's too little too late.
Yeah, that it's all just damage control, that he's more concerned with protecting his power, his profit,
than actually making meaningful change.
Right, it's that age-old question, right? Profit versus people.
It's a tough one.
It is, and it's at the heart of this whole debate about Zuckerberg's legacy.
Because on the one hand, he's connected billions of people, created these platforms for sharing, for community.
Yeah, unprecedented scale, right? And he's a huge philanthropist, donating billions to all sorts of causes.
Education, healthcare, scientific research, it's impressive.
It is, but on the other hand, there's the dark side.
The algorithms, the echo chambers, the spread of misinformation.
The addiction, the mental health concerns, the impact on democracy. It's a lot.
It's like a double-edged sword. Technology can be used for good or for bad.
And Zuckerberg, he's right there in the middle of it all.
Wielding that sword.
So how will history judge him? That's the million-dollar question.
The billion-dollar question, maybe?
Will he be the visionary who brought the world together, or the tech titan who tore it apart?
It's still unfolding, right? His story isn't over yet.
That's true. He's still writing it.
And we're all watching, waiting to see what happens next.
What that next chapter holds, and how it all ultimately shapes his legacy.
It's fascinating to think about.
It is. It's complex, it's messy, it's full of contradictions, just like Zuckerberg himself.
Just like all of us, I guess.
Yeah, maybe that's the takeaway, right? That even these tech giants, these billionaires, they're human too.
With flaws, with complexities, with good intentions, and, maybe not so good intentions.
And it's up to us, the users, the citizens, to hold them accountable, to demand better, to shape the future of technology.
To make sure it serves us, not the other way around.
Exactly. So keep questioning, keep learning, keep pushing for a better digital world.
Don't be afraid to speak up.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of Mark Zuckerberg. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.